This is a story of mistaken identity. The woman I knew was simply not the woman who was. My story begins in 1980, when in Kenya, East Africa, I sought out Dr. Anne Spurry, famed flying doctor, beloved by all, selfless caregiver to the country's tribal people. Albeit a bit of a mystery, she was a legend even then, having arrived in Africa in 1949 and later at the age of 45, learning to fly. Beginning in 1964, Anne Spurry launched her career as a flying doctor, landing on pencil-thin airstrips, risking her life over and over, all to help East Africa's tribal people. It was not long before the world began to take note of this remarkable lady of dual Swiss and French nationality. After my week flying with her, I wrote a magazine article, later a chapter in a book. 12 years afterwards, I made a documentary film about her. During its production, I helped her dole out medications, guide patients into the queue, and flew with her in the co-pilot seat. Throughout, I plied her with questions.
Going back even further, you were in the French underground.
Yeah, but look, well, let's leave that alone. I don't want to.
Even when she refused to discuss her past, I held her in such awe, I was certain that her reticence was a sign of modesty. I was not the only one denied access to Anne Spurry's past. A similar wall of silence thwarted all other journalists. Was it modesty, horror of the war, or something altogether different? As she aged, Anne's fame grew well beyond Kenya. Many called her one of a kind, others a saint. In 1999, Dr. Anne Spurry, still flying, still helping Africa's needy, died at the age of 80. Obituaries poured in from across the globe. All Kenya wept. 4 separate ceremonies honored her life, one akin to a state funeral. It was then I decided to write a loving tribute to Anne Spurry. My book would showcase the exponential power of the individual to make a difference. How one woman could transform the lives of so many across an entire corner of the planet. But when I began my research, opening up files dating to the 1940s, I crossed a threshold. What I uncovered was utterly unexpected, with each file revealing a woman so different from the one I knew and a story that challenged all credibility. In archives I located in Switzerland, Great Britain, Germany, and finally in a medieval town in the heartland of France, I was introduced to a woman the polar opposite of the one I knew. I also found 3 women who had been with Anne in Ravensbrück, a concentration camp purpose-built by the Nazis for women only.
Je crois que on ne peut pas comprendre et on ne peut pas demander aux anciennes déportées qui ont vécu cette expérience de la décrire, pas plus qu'on ne peut demander à un aveugle de décrire les couleurs.
I learned that after being caught in Paris by the Germans for her work in the French resistance, Anne, then a medical student, was transported to dreaded Ravensbrück, and there for 14 months she was incarcerated, much of the time unnoticed. But from September 1944 until the new year, 1945, in Block 10, everything was upended. What happened in that ward also shines a spotlight on another prisoner, one of history's most provocative and duplicitous women. After the war, justice was meted out in very different ways. One in a cold Hamburg courtroom, another under the hot African sun.
I've learned that there are no shortcuts. So you can retire at 20 or you can retire at 90. It all depends how you do the job. Because Africans really believe in your strength and ability to cure them.
Those long ago events today tell us about love and lunacy, about the solemnity and peculiarity of survival, and about the enduring power of Africa to transform and heal. In Full Flight, a story of Africa and atonement.